Hello everyone, today I'm going to share with you 4 to 5 chess tips to finally rank up, get more rating points and overall become a better chess player if you are rated under 1000 rating point, but mainly under 500, 400 and you want to finally reach 1000 ELO. So first of all, here's the plan of today's lesson. Basically, you will learn how to calculate better, how to train openings, also some tips to win more rating points like overall, how to play against some high-rated opponents, how to finally perform better, and then also how to create a routine to win more games and therefore how to train overall better. So let me just change the screen a little bit. I will also just put, every single information we just have right here. And for today's upload, I will be first of all, we'll start with the how to calculate better. You will go on Lichess, and if it's the first time ever, watching a video on this channel, just subscribe to the channel. But mainly, if you are rated under 500, the overall problem is that people do not know how much they do know and how much they do not know. If you're rated under 500 or even minus 1000, you should be training tactics before anything else. The openings will be, you know, basically a side effect of knowing how to not blunder like overall in chess. Here, for example, on Lead Chess, you have the learn option. You can just go on chess basics if you're really a beginner, but if you're if you're a little bit better than a beginner, you can just go in practice. I can recommend you to do everything, but mainly focus on the fundamental tactics. So the pins, skewers, forks, discover attacks, double checks, etc., etc. Do not go for the advanced tactics yet. This is only when you will really get comfortable with this one, but really start with them because a huge amount of games will be decided with tactics. Very simple tactics. Forks, skewers, pins. Mainly them. Very often also discovered attacks. And the reason why people tend to lose a lot is because they overtrain openings, and then when they reach the middle game, they simply blunder like beginners. Why? Because their calculation skill is as close as a beginner, uh, is close to become a grandmaster. So I'm sorry, as close as being good as a beginner has a chance to be good as a grandmaster. And never mind. Anyway, do those exercises first. I would recommend you to just, regularly do them. After a week or two, you will start to realize, okay, basically, I didn't know anything about those tactics. Even if you're rated 1000, go do them. It never hurts. And also, I have some students that are, rated 18, 1900. I also force them to do those exercises, just to see what you really do know and what you really don't know. So this is how to calculate better. Then, of course, once you know those tactics, you can just go on puzzle streak. You will have also very, very fundamental tactics and advanced tactics in raw positions where you only have to calculate a lot and get used of calculating. Then, of course, you have the classical puzzles. Just keep solving them. It never hurts. Of course, do not, you can avoid endgames for the moment because at beginner level, even if you lost in the end game, you can still win. Under 5,000, under 1,000, being down a piece doesn't mean that you will lose or anything. If you keep looking for forcing moves, if you keep looking for weak signals, for tactics, you can still win the game. So this was how to calculate better. Now, how to train openings. This is now where things become interesting because people have a tendency to spend $200, $300, $500 on opening courses that are near to useless. I would recommend you to really stick to the principles of chess. And the principles of chess when it comes to the openings are the following. You can just take notes. It's the moment where you can learn a lot of things. So hopefully you can see everything on the board. Yes, you can. All right. This is your camp. Yeah, the first four ranks are basically white's camp. Then the upcoming four ranks are basically black's camp. This is already a very important element. When I'm playing knight to f3 with the white pieces, this is by the way the natural square for the g1 knight, and the c3 square is the natural square for the b1 knight. The knight does control a couple of squares on the board, two squares, on the king side, and also two squares in white's camp. When you go knight c3, it's the same, two squares. I'm sorry, not on the king side. On the queen side, now in black's camp, but also two squares on your side. When you play knight h3 or knight h3 or knight a3, you're only controlling one square and overall two squares instead of four. That's the same. It's not a matter of how many squares you control, it's a matter of putting pieces on squares that matter. When I play e4, this bishop has only one diagonal. But if at some point I put the bishop on c4, suddenly my bishop is playing on two diagonals, and this is the importance of bringing pieces into the game. If you do not bring your pieces into the game, as weirdly as it seems, you will lose. Why? Because the only way to lose a game is to keep your pieces there forever long. Ben Feingold once, so a very known grandmaster, told a story which actually also happened to me, which is very funny. He went at the school tournament, white played e4, some beginner players playing, and black played b6. All right, so white played bishop to c4. Black played a6, sorry, c6. The player with the white pieces, a little bit experienced, realized, okay, this is just a beginner. And he went queen to f3, threatening checkmate on f7, yeah? And black played a6. And he had his hand over the queen, ready to go queen takes f7 checkmate. Actually, he backed it up and took the bishop and played bishop f7 mate. This story happened to me. This is crazy, In the beginner world, an issue that player number A is having can be experienced by player number B. What do we see? We see that as raw and as funny as this example looks like, if you do not bring your pieces into the game, you will never have a chance to do anything. This is just a little bit of a philosophical approach. This is just to make you understand, bring your pieces into the game. Try to somewhat bring them out. Put the knight out, the bishop out. Try not to blunder tactics, the same tactics you just trained with the practice tool on Lichess, and you will reach those 1000. You don't need a lot of theory. If someone attacks you, you don't even have to overtry, just defend. There is no reason to feel bad or anything. What I can be recommending you with the white pieces is to go e4. I know a lot of people are teaching the London system. I'm also teaching it myself. But the more I played it and the more I started writing books about that, the more I started to ghostwrite books about the London system, the more I realized, okay, the problem with this opening is that you do not have a lot of tactics on the board. And sure, it feels and it sounds a little bit simpler to not have any tactics on the board for a beginner. But if you want to get better, this is not what you want. You want to be able to identify tactics as much as possible. You want to be able to identify forcing moves as much as possible. You want to have winning chances as much as possible. And regardless of who you are, if you play e4, you play in an open position. Why is it an open position? Because notice that suddenly you can bring the bishop and the knight out and cast only 3 moves. And also, when you play something like e3, the pawn on f2, which is guarded only by the king, can't be attacked on this diagonal anymore. If I play e4 and you play e5 and I go bishop c4, this diagonal is open. The f7 square is only protected by the king. If you go e6, then it's a half open because my bishop could potentially attack on f7, and now your pawn completely shuts it down. It feels difficult, and I know that I might be losing a lot of players while explaining that, but it doesn't matter. Why? Because you will realize it and you will learn it through practice. So if your brain already has this information somewhere, it's already good enough. So my thing would be go e4, bring your knights out, bring your bishops out, you know, and basically play your chess games and focus on putting them into the game as much as possible and to not blunder as much as possible. And then with time and practice, when you get better and better and better, you'll start to, to have the need, to feel the need to learn openings. But I, for example, my whole life, I played knight f3, g3, bishop g2, castles, and I played that my whole life. Whatever black did, of course, I always try never to blunder my knights or anything, but I basically played that my whole life, and then I was just shuffling around all the way up to 2000 elo. You know, I did that my whole life. So this is with the white pieces. With the black pieces, I would recommend you to, no matter if your opponent goes e4 or d4 or c4 or f4, you play c6. Why? Because the goal would be to play d5. And if the pawn takes, you recapture back with the pawn. And the goal is simply, once again, bring your pieces out and then try not to blunder tactically. This is the very first step. Of course, I could tell you, learn every single line by heart. And sure, in the short term, you will have a ton of results. But in the long run, you will never improve. And even if you do, then you will still lack a lot of things just due to the fact that you didn't practice the correct way. Against d4, it's the same. c6, d5, and then you try to bring your pieces into the game. By the way, you can join the Discord. I release a couple of, basically every single information you have right there is available on, in the PDF form on my Discord. You can just join the Discord. Yeah, so this is what I had to say about openings. Now, when you're playing on chess.com or on Lichess, you have a function which is basically called, the ladder. You have quick pairing system. You can just click on 1 plus 0 if you're playing bullet, 3 plus 0, 5-0, 10-0, etc., etc. What I would be recommending you is the following. If I just click right now on 5 plus 0, I will get players rated between minus 500 rating points to me and plus 500 rating points to me. But if I actually go on custom, I will show you how to do it on chess.com also. I can just change the time setup. I can put the time that is used on the ladder and change the filter from minus 0 to plus 500. And now if we just take a look at that, look, I'm in the ladder, even though I just started a game and launched a game with someone that is higher rated than me. If I just click like that, notice I can be playing against anyone. If I go on custom, once again, look, the huge difference. On chess.com, it works that way. I will just show you. It's very, very funny. Hopefully there were no brutal ads or anything close to that. I will show you how to do that on chess.com. It's very important that you keep that in mind. Why will you be doing this? The way you will win rating points is by playing against players that are higher rated than you. First of all, because getting destroyed helps building up this long-term experience stuff. But also, it's here. It's a button right under start a game. Then you have this small chessboard with an eye, and you can basically choose players in any time control, blitz, rapid, whatever. Here I see an IM 2600, and I can just play with them. Click on play. Then you see you have players that are basically starting, games on the ladder. You have open. How is it called again? Open games, and this is how you play against some lower and higher rated opponents. Yeah, and this is basically how you will get better. Sometimes they will avoid playing you, uh, but sometimes no. Sometimes they won't. Great. So this is how you win more rating points by playing against more players. I can also recommend you to go in tournaments because in tournaments you have a lot of sweaty players. They just play to get those trophies. Play against them. Those players are 5,000 times more competitive than you imagine. So use this chance and fight against them. You know, like your life is depending on it. Now that you know how to basically win rating points and have higher chances of winning more rating points, let me just show you and introduce to you a routine that I'm basically giving to many students of mine, especially the students that have some calculation issues. Um, you go on puzzles. Let's just say you reach some new height. For example, I have 2657. Let's just say it's my highest rating ever. Then instead of just keep solving puzzles at 2650, 27, 2800 level, I will be trying to work on my consistency. Why? Because if you play one game that is, for example, 100 moves long, and you play 99 moves perfectly, but you miss the very, very last one, so the 100th move, you lose the game. Just out of this notion, the factor of consistency becomes one of the main factors when it comes to the chess improvement. If you're playing one move in the game at a 2800 level, 2800 FIDE level, and then you just, randomly play the whole time moves that are basically at a 400 elo level, you'll lose the game no matter who you are. But if you're playing a move, once again, a game, regardless the amount of moves, and basically 99, 95, let's say almost 100% of your moves are played at a similar level, you will get extremely hard to beat. Of course, if your consistent and regular level is 1000, you will beat players that are rated 1000, but who can't show the same consistency as you. If you're rated 1000 and you play against a guy that is playing at an average level of 2000, you will lose, but so be it. Sometimes you play against stronger opponents, and that's basically it. So I would recommend you to try to see what is the highest rating you can get, then put on minus 600 and try to solve around 100 puzzles a day. Then the same and easier, minus 300, try to solve 100 puzzles a day. And if you realize, okay, I can do that, you go back on normal and you keep working, you keep trying, you keep forcing yourself to calculate more and more and more, and you will get better. This is just a very important routine that has to be part of your game. And it's pretty much self-explanatory. So if you have any more questions about this whole routine, how to train, what is chess improvement all about, you can just send me a message. You can just write down a comment. Join the Discord if you want to play against me. I'm also streaming very often. I mean, very often. I'm streaming when I'm streaming. Go check everything. Go check the Instagram. Subscribe to the channel. And yeah, if you have any more questions, just let me know. I'm also, by the way, showing you something. This is pretty important that I show it now. What I mean by important, I mean if I don't show it, then I will basically hate myself for not doing it. Yeah, I'm asking you now to wait. So basically, I am organizing a chess masterclass. The 17th of January, which is basically a masterclass on how to reach 1600 FIDE level, so around 2000 ELO on chess.com in rapid level. The level which you should already be having is a consistent 1000 to 1400 level. Basically, I will be showing you exactly how to train, how to work. We will see a lot of things, regarding the opening theory. We will be working on strict opening repertoires, on middle game plans based on those openings. Also, end games themes and skills, because when you're rated between 1000 and 1400, this is when, in my opinion, you should be starting to work on endgames at least a little bit, just to have some notions, because before that, people are just blundering way too often to really make sense to work on openings. So join the masterclass. See you next time. Send me a message if there is anything new on your side. You can also just join the Discord. We're having fun. Thank you very much. See you in the future. Take care.